2023 American action thriller film directed by Jean-Francois Richet from a screenplay by Charles Cumming and J.P. Davis. The film stars Gerard Butler, Mike Colter, Yosin and Tony Goldwyn. The plot centers on a pilot, Butler, allying with a prisoner, Colter, to save his passengers from a hostile territory they landed in for an emergency landing. The film was announced in 2016, acquired by Lionsgate in 2019, sold to Solstice Studios in 2020, and reacquired by Lionsgate in 2021. It was shot in Puerto Rico. Plane was released in the United States on January 13, 2023. It received generally favorable reviews from critics and has grossed $74 million worldwide. Commercial pilot Brodie Torrance, a former RAF pilot from Scotland, flies Trailblazer Airlines Flight 119 with 14 passengers and 3 cabin crew members from Singapore to Honolulu via Tokyo. Among the passengers is fugitive homicide suspect Louis Gaspar, who is accompanied by an RCMP GRC officer en route to Canada. Per a directive from one of his superiors, Brodie takes a shortcut across the South China Sea, but the plane is heavily damaged by a storm and a flight attendant and the RCMP officer are killed during the turbulence. The plane makes an emergency landing on what turns out to be Jolo Island in the Philippines. In New York City, the board of Trailblazer calls Scarsdale their crisis manager. He dispatches a private military outfit to rescue the passengers, as the authorities are unwilling to send troops into the rebel-controlled island. Brodie goes off into the jungle for help. Accompanied by Louis, at an abandoned warehouse, Brodie wires the phone to call his superiors and daughter to tell their location. He succeeds but is attacked by a rebel whom he subdues with the help of Louis. They encounter a site used by the rebels to make ransom videos and race back to the plane, but are beaten to it by rebel leader Datu Junmar, who kills a Korean couple who try to escape and takes the surviving passengers and crew hostage, intending to secure large ransoms from their families. After the group leaves, Brodie and Louis overpower remaining rebels and force them to reveal the location of their lair. Before leaving, Brodie leaves a note to inform rescue teams of the situation. At the rebel hideout, Brodie and Louis kill the guards and sneak the passengers and crew onto a bus. Brodie decides to stay behind to distract the rebels. As he is about to be executed, the rescue team arrives, inflicting heavy casualties on Junmar's men. The rescue team tells Brodie that the airline cannot send in a formal team to remove them from the island for another 24 hours, and they do not have enough contingency money to negotiate their way off the island. Brodie tells the rescue team that he has another plan. Back at the plane, Brodie and his co-pilot Samuel Deli manage to fire up the plane and gather everyone inside for takeoff. Scarsdale's group sets up a Barrett M82 counter-materiel rifle for increased firepower and together with Louis fight off Junmar's men. Louis chooses to stay behind to distract Junmar's forces and allow Scarsdale's team to board the plane, preventing an attempt by Junmar and a terrorist to blow up the plane with an RPG and later fleeing into the jungle with a bag of ransom money brought by the mercenaries. Angered, Junmar attempts to use another RPG in a last effort to destroy the plane, but Brodie, despite being shot in the leg during the shootout, is able to put the plane on full throttle, allowing it to take off safely and crush Junmar under the plane's wheels, killing him. The plane is too damaged and too low on fuel to make a long journey, but Brodie manages to land the plane at the neighboring island of Siasi. As the passengers and crew are tended to by the island's rescue team, Brodie phones his daughter, telling her he is coming home. Plane grossed $32.1 million in the United States and Canada, and $42 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $74.1 million. In the United States and Canada, Plane was released alongside House Party and the wide expansion of A Man Called Otto, and was projected to gross $7 minus $10 million from 3,023 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made $3 million on its first day, including $435,000 from Thursday night previews. It went on to debut to $10.2 million, $11.8 million over the four-day MLK weekend, finishing in fifth. The film made $5.3 million and $3.8 million in its second and third weekends, respectively.